Yeah.
There were petitions.
All right.
People-
I heard stories. Is it true that this is like dog poop and other people stop?
I some.
I heard that's what I heard.
Really?
I mean, it might be four people.
Yeah.
And growing.
Georgette, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, you can, so you're already letting people in?
It lasted forever. And that was petitions, and a medal was petitions. Yeah. We,
Oh, they're all in the meeting room, I'll give you.
oh, wait, everybody appreciated, like, for the first time I brought it, it's actually healthy. I actually watched them too. What?
Where is she?
Thing there is spicy. Spicy, yeah.
The world.
Soaked in vodka, right?
That makes some extra healthy.
That would be good.
Yeah, well,
They're soaked in Activa.
can't do it up
Oh,
here.
my.
What are those people?
That's me, make co-host there, finally.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. Okay, good, all right. She's done.
What's it, read?
Just
Whatever, just copy of it. Okay.
No, I'm good with it. What do you want?
We did.
I'm moving your head up and down, up and down, okay. Jesse? You looking for?
I was looking for copy of the agenda. And she said, "Oh, still more."
Sorry.
I'm just going to keep it over my head. You were eating your something.
I have another friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Have one, but they always. They don't- a lot,
Kind of
but they didn't say that it's gonna be,
I couldn't.
When you go
I was
out.
just there. Oh, I saw that.
Oh, I keep thinking you left the.
Recording stop, right? I was talking more.
That's what I'm doing.
Could be
Where
that,
do you start?
26.
Are you kidding?
yeah, it's not unbelievable.
I have to get all it. I'm saying the length is not my opinion, but obviously it is because people are getting it. So.
Class and system organized from there.
Never mind.
You're right.
Where do you start?
Yeah.
Where do you start? We did, I did a Catholic country during like Centennial, they sent up. Did you do any of that? You do any that same rule?
Well, it's the 1776,
Huh.
1976. It's the fifth of there.
Oh.
Yeah.
How many people on the ride?
Very seldom.
Different age groups or?
Yeah, Oscar's not.
I would guess 90%.
He's interesting. Okay, okay.
Well, you know, it's not easy to take what, 2 months off.
Well, college kids.
Oh, that's true.
You have to take care of them all? You're the head guy.
College kids, he's a chaperone.
No, I'm not a physician.
Yeah.
Chef.
Same. Well, you have to be both if you're doing college kids.
You have to know about drugs.
Yeah, that's oh, you're gonna have ODs and which ones they can and can't have, what's legal, what's not, depending on.
Well, that's actually the first thing I ask, is
Yeah.
which state have what legalities?
Really, yeah, that's true, it's
That's true.
interesting, yeah,
It's still illegal some places?
Yeah.
Probably in mid.
honestly, it's that, like, I haven't kept up with it since we were legal, so.
Yeah.
I'm
Most of
learning,
them are illegal east of the Mississippi, and most of them are legal west of the Mississippi,
but most of them were illegal,
east of the Mississippi.
right, and west is more legal. Except for
Except for-
Virginia passed it, but they never established a way of distributing it. So you still can't buy it, that's what,
Colorado's.
so it's saying.
Boys, Tim, so,
I think I wanted first,
yeah.
and Louisiana. even.
I don't know, we're only 2 plants and like that.
That is hard to find, you know, definitely.
I go college kid, but
Yeah.
You were on inside or outside?
I've never done it.
Oh.
I don't even know where you get, I don't know where you get the seeds from and all that stuff.
Yes, ChatGPT.
Yeah, I know. I remember the old days where you used to have like a J and a seed with they did a seed in that
Yeah.
explode. Good pop, yeah, yeah. Yes, a long time.
Yeah, like last week was the wrong gym.
ago.
You had the wrong weapon. You got the wrong-
I was in college in Los Angeles then.
Okay, this is the wrong.
What did happen at school? Of course, I did nothing wrong.
Okay.
I didn't see
You went to Capital.
12 years of Catholic, so not college. Not college is like as liberal arts as you can get.
No, I went to Catholic College.
What college do you go to?
Loyal.
Oh, really?
In Baltimore?
The what?
In Baltimore?
No, Chicago.
Ah,
When is it 12?
Okay,
oh.
can everybody hear me, please? I hope, right? We have quite the turnout,
Yes.
44 connections, including a few from here. So this is the call to order. In the room, we have Nick Petrone, Councilman Petrone, Peter Nagrod, Mary Warfield, John Porter, Chris Grisham, and Barbara is over here online, somewhere in Colorado still, or wherever she is.
Yes.
We also have our new town administrator, Anna Burke, over there, and our
Old town clerk.
the term is long time.
Ah.
Old applies. And Bessie Klinger is here. Okay, and treasurer, Gene Wires, as well, and a host of the rest of you. Okay, so, first item of business is to approve the, agenda, which, I'm going to show you because I've modified it as usual slightly, and, not terribly much. I propose to move up. Your napkins. Move up the item on the resolution 2026-05 driveway access for 503 Macaulay. Up to the top of the business. I don't know how many people were here to speak to that, but I think we have some developments that council knows about. All right, otherwise everything's pretty much the same as was disseminated earlier. So I need a motion to approve this.
Wait, motion to vote.
Mary?
Was there any comments about the resolution? I mean, the agenda? All in favor of approving the agenda? Got Barbara.
Yeah.
Wondering whether she should raise her, there we go.
Yes.
Okay, so the agenda is approved. All right, so the first item of business is the resolution 2026-05, which was introduced on May 18th, which proposed to alter the driveway, the current walkways by 503 the Charleston's property. However, since the meeting, the matter has been under discussion, and I and the town's attorney and the Charleston attorney met, and we are all looking for a way to get this resolved as quickly as possible with as little fallout as can be managed. And it looks like we have some good prospects of doing that, but it's going to take a little time to hammer something out. The idea, supposing we were to come to an agreement, would basically have the council approving the engaging in an agreement, whatever that entails, to solve the issue. There may be things that take longer than 3 weeks. And, but that would send us off to finish it off, or we may just be approving an agreement that's already been, realized. Anyway, we're in negotiation, on how to solve this problem. And I would appreciate the council defer any discussion, amendment, or action until July to allow this to play out.
Alright, I'll make a motion to defer, we should do this through a motion, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I'll make the motion to defer until July,
All right.
final outcome of this.
I'll second that.
Anybody have any comments to make on that?
This is Barbara. I just want to voice my support for that because, for the reasons that you gave, we can't wrap this up tonight. So I definitely support this motion.
Good, all right. Anybody? In that case, let's move to a vote. All in favor of the motion to defer? All right, that's unanimous. So we will get back to this and on July 13th, I believe, is the meeting. All right. Next item on we go now back to the regular business. I guess I'm still showing you this. We don't actually need to see the agenda anymore. Approval of the minutes. Unfortunately, we between Kathy, our new town administrator, and me, the one there around the southwest, we can get the minutes put together, so they'll have to wait till next time. All right, moving on to public appearances. We'll now hear from anyone. Remember, the limit is 3 minutes. The subject of your choosing. So, do we have people here who would like to make a public appearance? I need we either raise your hand electronically, physically, or any other way. I'm not seeing any. Anybody seeing any? Nobody? Okay.
John, quick.
Sorry. Oh, Betsy, sorry. We have Betsy here in the council room. A packed council room. It's got Betsy.
I printed it out.
Okay.
To give it to you. To Mayor John Compton, the Town Council, I'm concerned about the decision. How the decision was made about the Cholstrom House at 503 Macaulay, and especially by the fact it was not properly communicated. I find it unneighborly and disturbing that the mayor and council had apparently identified the use of 6th Avenue as a problem and did not at that point bring Mary and Charlie into the loop. Instead, they wrote the resolution preventing them from using it as part of their driveway at a town council meeting held a full 2 weeks after the house had been put under contract. The issue was also not listed on the agenda for the meeting, so this were completely in the dark. Such a thing cannot be justified. The town owes the Cholstroms a public apology, and I believe some financial gift as compensation for the loss of the contract. Betsy Klinger.
Okay. Are you submitting that? So it's a matter of.
Do you want me to hand it? Well,
Yes, hand it to me. Somebody there? Yeah, so we can put it in the minutes. Okay, anybody else? Seeing no one, then we'll call the public appearances to a close and move on to the treasurer's report. Jean is here and will speak to her report.
The primary expense that I think I will make a comment on, it's noted in the notes to the right, but it's page 2, John, at the top. Office equipment that's in the executive, which is town management area. We had budgeted for a laptop for Anna in the fiscal 27 year, but it just seemed prudent to have her start June 1st rather than waiting till July 1st. So getting her laptop ended up being in fiscal 26. And other than that, there's nothing new to comment on beyond what has been there month after month. Yeah, you might notice the Medicare and Social Security expenses at the very bottom, page 5, are above budget. And that really is due to the unexpected sprinkler repair work, because we had both Steve and Dane working for the town on that. And anytime you have paid staff, the payroll taxes comes along with it. And we didn't anticipate needing that when we created the fiscal 26 budget. So those are both over, and that is the reason for that. We have finally started working on the stormwater work. So the remaining ARPA funds at the bottom should start to draw down, mostly in beginning of fiscal 27, but that's been hanging there for quite a while, but we've made some interest off of it, which is nice. That's the only comments beyond my notes that I wanted to point out. We have June to go. We're hiring fast and furious. We've hired 17 summer staff. 2 of those 17 have yet to sign. We'll see if they pan out. Those are lifeguards. And 2 lifeguards are also serving as Summer in the Parks counselors. So I did not double count them. It's been busy. So any questions?
I have one question, Jean.
Yeah.
So, and this is really like for the committees. So we're closing out 26, so going into 27. And we have money in the budget for some committees that we haven't spent yet. And we don't carry funds over, but what are there ways of we're not gonna spend the money just to spend it, obviously, but are there ways of committing to do some work and being able to use those funds even though it runs into 27?
No, if the expense is incurred in June, it is part of fiscal 26.
Okay.
The only exception is for activities that are happening in fiscal 27. Point in case here, Eva had to purchase some Summer in the Park supplies, but the activity is in fiscal 27 that expense would be applied against. And it's an accounting term, but it's prepaid expense. But it's earmarked specifically to an activity that's happening in fiscal 27. So you pay it ahead and then you expense it effectively in fiscal 27. It's an accounting thing. But if the activity, is, like for the holiday show of fiscal 27, that would be a stretch to do an expense now as prepaid, because there's so much time between now and the holiday show.
But what if I was doing some kind of maintenance contract or something, say that was $15,000, and we signed it and began the work the last week of June and it ran into July?
So if the invoice indicates a June date on it, then I can put it in June. But if the invoice, they might have started the work, but if the way the invoice is written, it has July date on it and says work performed in July, it has to go into next fiscal year.
Okay, thanks.
So I think if we There are ways.
I know.
There are ways around it.
I was just educating.
For example, you can prepay,
Right, yeah.
if everybody agrees to prepay,
Uh-huh.
then it meets the requirements for.
So we're thinking normal accounting, like you would do
Yeah,
in
it's not-
business, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the growth. Just check, with Gene.
Yeah, well, you know,
Yeah. I don't get
it's just
slapping
that,
it.
So I do have a question for you
For me,
and Gene, but Chesapeake Fire Protection. Did you sign a check for their latest invoice? And
Yep.
you're really concerned about them getting paid, aren't you?
Well, I'm concerned that we don't end up in this July, June.
No, their invoice was well in.
Yeah, the invoice was,
Invoice, not the thing.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
yeah,
So they'll be sending us another invoice, I'm sure, in June before the end, so.
yeah.
No,
But to put in mind, it is,
Yeah, it does.
the check is in the mail.
It's actually in an envelope that's sitting in my kitchen right now, but it'll go in the mail tomorrow.
Which is technically in the mail.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, well, I get, the concern is, like, what we brought up before, is that the work is done, it's been done, I've been trying to get them to finalize, and they keep sending these monthly invoices. So, it's weird.
You've never not paid an invoice immediately. Okay.
That's right.
To me,
I'll ask you.
all the time.
All right,
And did you want to do the budget transfer?
now we have to, we
Oh,
have a
that's right.
motion to, accept the treasurer's report.
I move to accept the report.
Second, please.
I'll second it.
All right, John has moved and Peter has seconded. Any discussion further about the report? All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. Report accepted. Okay, go ahead, Jane.
You're gonna put that up. So, some years,
I'm gonna say that.
we're required if a area, I kind of refer to them as a department, a cost center, an area that you see the groupings in my report, in my accounting. We are required, if we ever bottom line of that area goes over budget, we have to have a formal budget transfer. And so I have to forecast out how much will be spent in June to see if there's an area that we might be over budget. And to give some cushion, there's 2 areas. And so it's when John gets it up, or it was in the materials as well, I believe. There we go. And John, correct me, I might have called this a resolution. Is it an ordinance?
No, it's a resolution.
Resolution, okay. So, and what happens is if there's another area that is well under budget, we just move the money from there. So, there are 2 areas, my area, the part of it is the audit, for fiscal 26. They start preliminary work already. So the costs for that audit that were budgeted in fiscal 27 actually start happening in fiscal 26. And because now the next year's audit's going to be bigger, it's coming in higher than the budget on that, as well as my time. I spent extra time between the employee handbook and being on the search and interview team for the administrator position. So I will come in maybe about 10 hours over budget. So the net effect for mine is about 2,500. And then in waste collection and disposal, because we had not budgeted for the dog waste collection, we had a bit of savings in leaf collection, but not enough to offset it. So the dog waste collection costs are putting that area over budget. And it's not huge amounts here, but we still need this formality.
Okay, we're gonna hit the resolution as the first administrative matter, that explanation. It's a formality, we go through this most years. Just to shift funds around within the major budget categories. You can do that with impunity, as long as the funds are available. Okay, thank you, Jean. You wanted to say something about the financial policy, which is
Right.
not,
To
yeah,
better coordinate it, sometimes it's like herding cats. We have so many amazing volunteers that spend their own money putting events and other things together and get reimbursed. And those requests come in many forms, and to try and standardize that. And then also, particularly with the June 30 year end, I can't get let's just say a Circle Fest or Music Weekend receipt asking for reimbursement in October. It messes up the auditors. So we've created these kind of procedures. We had a couple people look at drafts just to make sure that they were workable for everybody. And then because we now are allowing payment to be made by Zelle, we wanted people to know that. And so we have this, and we have an Amazon business account. And so more and more we're getting volunteers that would, like people send to me the link to what they would like to get purchased on Amazon, and I do the purchasing. And so this gives guidance on that. The advantage of using the Amazon account, if possible, is we have tax exemption, sales tax exemption. So it saves the town a little bit of money there, and we get, prime delivery. So I have provided it to Lisa Beelen for the rec committee, because so much of the reimbursements are for town events. So, and she was one of the folks that kind of looked at the draft to say what was workable for them. So I would like to disseminate this to the key volunteers who, generously purchase out of their own pocket and get reimbursed. It just will make it more standardized, and that way people will get paid faster.
I have a quick question about the Zelle. You get does the person who's getting the money in the account get a receipt to show that the transaction has occurred?
So what I do, my practice is when I send it, I get an email from the bank that says you sent this money by Zelle to this person. I forward that email to the person. That way they know to go look for it. And this is, it's really kind of a case-by-case basis. We're not paying our vendors this way. We receive money in using Zelle. There are no fees for this to the town. But that's the way I put the person on alert to go look for the money in their account.
Okay, I may call you tomorrow. I have a couple more questions, but I don't want to take up the time of the council.
Yeah, and not everybody's comfortable with it. Not everybody uses it. PayPal and Venmo, I looked into them, and we have to pay fees. So we thought, well, it's really just so far about 5 people who routinely submit reimbursement for event expenses. And they find it easier than waiting for a check in the mail or having to go pick one up. But feel free to call me.
So Gene, I'm gonna speak for both Gene and me about reimbursement. So this policy is really designed to do two things. One, reduce the cost to the town for the purchases of materials and that we need for our various activities. That's by using the Amazon account or by using the tax, making sure it's a tax exempt, and so we don't have to pay a tax. But it's also to make things easier for Jane. So obviously, we routinely have been reimbursing people with checks. Surprisingly, well, it shouldn't surprise you that there are often checks that go uncashed for ever, unreasonable amounts of time. So that causes just a headache. And often people come back and sometimes will say, I can't find that check. 2 months later, 4 months later, what can I do about it? And we really should impose a cutoff, not to be nasty or anything, but merely trying to encourage everybody to be responsible and to relieve bookkeeping, to reduce the bookkeeping that carries these things forward. So that's why Zelle is a huge benefit. It's direct. You don't have to worry about depositing. Okay, and you get it quickly. It's with a one person accounting department, these things add up. So it would be good to have everybody recognize that. It's a fabulous boon to the town when people go out and buy stuff on their own. Nobody's trying to stop that. They've been approved to buy it, they buy it. Submit your request for reimbursement and let's get it to you in as fast as we can.
Yeah, I applaud this trend. I think this should just be the beginning. I can think of a number of vendors who would be really helpful to do something similar to Amazon. There are so many people in town that spend money for the town.
Yeah.
And they can't find the receipts or it's not a lot. And it's just, looking at it from the volunteer perspective, I think this is very advantageous to encourage volunteers to also help them out. So this is a good trend. Home Depot, Gene.
Huh?
We gotta get the account at Home Depot.
Well, we have a Home Depot account and they just charge our credit card.
All right.
Even Chris can help you with that.
Doesn't help there.
But you have to know about it.
Yeah.
And to know about it, you need to say, look, I need to buy whatever at Home Depot. And Gene says, oh, here, just use our authority here to.
Gene should go down in the car and do it then.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
She has time for that. Okay, Anna. That's somewhere in that job description.
Okay, right. That's it then for our.
We have to approve the resolution on the
Yeah,
budget.
it's on the agenda a little further. I'm gonna wait till we get there, okay? It's the first item on the administrative one. And the next item is the mayor's report. There's a few kudos. They're always big ones. To Paula Puglisi, Patty Klein, and Barbara Ramondo for spearheading and organizing the DEIB workshop that happened May 30th. I hope everybody knew that was open. At least about 40 people did attend, which is real good. That's what we were hoping for. At the workshop was to learn how to better foster, obviously, inclusion, diversity, and participation by town residents in town activities. And that goes from council business to, the Gateway Committee, to the rec committee, of course. One of the outcomes, for the town is to, hopefully form a work group to move on to the next step, which has been, identified as, yeah, well, not all the next steps have been identified, brainstorm next steps, but one of them is to examine how our comprehensive plan is, how the idea of better inclusion is being expressed in our comprehensive plan, so examining the comprehensive plan. But Paula, Patty, and Barbara, worked hard to get this thing together. It was led by Leadership Montgomery, facilitator.
So John, can I just add to that a little bit? I want to really call out Paula for her work in making sure that people knew about it. And that's why we got such a nice turnout, because Paula really took up the mantle on that to make that happen. So that was very much appreciated. And Patty too, did a lot of the logistics and was there. If you were there, you might have noticed I was not there. I've been out of town. So it was really nice to be able to rely on the two of them to make sure that it was all done properly. And I hear it went very well, got very good feedback.
You
So
did a lot of the pre-work, and thank you. Thank you for that. John, I can hardly hear you. I just want you to know that. I can't hear. I don't know if it's just me, but thank you, Barbara.
Is anybody having that problem?
You just need to move closer to the microphone.
Am I
John.
the only one who
No,
can't?
I'm having trouble.
Okay.
A lot of us are.
Okay.
Thank you, Paula.
How about
Mhm.
everybody else? Okay.
John, it's like we can hear you in the room distantly, but not at the microphone.
Yeah, it's a central microphone. I'll speak up a bit. Okay.
So I would like to add to that because one of the written goals of this meeting, it wasn't, the comprehensive plan wasn't mentioned so much as town, more specifically town policies and procedures. And the outcome was supposed to be a creation of a work group of volunteers who would look at town policies and procedures and see how they relate to this DEIB. And which was very receptive. And I mean, it was some fabulous, great. The choir was there, it's great, but I think that to keep the whole goal is how do we get the momentum going? And this work group seemed like a really great way to proceed. And I'm not sure, that was mentioned tonight, I'm sure that Patty and Barbara, when she gets back, and Paula will be working on that.
Mhm.
This really wasn't meant for just more than kudos.
Oh, yeah, well.
I know there's.
Well,
lots more coming.
yeah.
I just, we do have an agenda to stick to.
Are you saying that?
We'll wait for Barbara to get back.
Yeah,
There you
okay,
go.
good, okay.
All right, another kudo, of course, goes to the Circle Fest organizers and volunteers who managed to not dirty up their front yards and porches. When we had to move, it had to be moved here to McCaffrey Hall due to the weather, but it nevertheless was came off fantastically well. And according to the official count, by our circulating helicopters, over 300 people attended. So another great event. Congratulations to the organizers and their biggest promoter, Mr. Negrod.
And thank you to the Shank, to the Shanks for donating the tent tables and whatever.
Right.
That was nice.
Right, okay, that's my kudos for this meeting. Next, the Washington Grove Connector Shared Use Pathway, which you hear about every month mostly. We are now reviewing a draft easement that we received from the county MCDOT. An easement from the town is necessary to allow construction of the final bit of the path on town property at the end of Brown Street. So that's going to be happening over the next month or two. The construction, they're going to be moving on to construction. You can say this, you can take this as you will, shortly. There's always one more thing. it may well happen this summer or certainly this year when they start to work. The stormwater management project, those are the people on this side of the Grove, west of Macaulay, west of Grove. I got Macaulay on the brain. West of Grove will have seen the activity. They haven't done a whole lot. They're starting to prepare to work on the avenues torn up the end of Center Street. You should know that Steve Wertz volunteered, in addition to all the other things he's been doing, as our town site coordinator. So he's helping them, put their equipment around, just answering questions, and watching the action. And Bob Boer has also made a big commitment to use his project management experience in his professional life to be the town quality control engineer, to ensure that they've done what they say they're going to do, and review the invoices for the work done, and that sort of thing. So, lastly, we actually have not had a pre-construction meeting. We're having it tomorrow. Other issues notwithstanding, it was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago. We'll have a better idea of the timeline of the work as to when they'll be working where. I did send out a Grove alert indicating that there should be little disruption of being able to get around town on the roads. There certainly will be some disruption in front of some properties, because we're working on runoff down Center, down Oak, at the end of Center as well, and along Chestnut, and at Acorn and Chestnut Road. So those things will be disruptive for periods. So we'll try and get good information we can out, but I'm pretty sure we'll have good control over access by the contract. Any questions that you have, though, contact any of the three of us, Steve or Bob or myself. Okay, the tennis court crack repairs, those people who use our court are nobody's fallen into one of these cracks yet. But the test crack repair has been done. Of course, it looked great after an hour being finished. So we're gonna let it go a few weeks, see how it holds up. Most likely it'll hold up fine, in which case, and it's a relatively inexpensive, but expected to be short-term repair. We'll do the rest of the large cracks soon, say in the next month, assuming Mike Shank can do it. All right. Next item is safety and security in Washington Grove with Officer Melanie Romano of the Montgomery County Police Department. This has been arranged with her. She's the community services officer for the 6th district, which we're in. Chris has, as one of the many things, the safety, he acting as the safety committee, has been doing. It'll be on there's going to be a Zoom presentation by Officer Romano, but mostly an opportunity to ask questions concerning, obviously, crime and other concerns here in town. And it's going to be on the 25th at 7:30. As I say, it's a Zoom, so as many people, you don't have to go anywhere. I'm going to be able to ask all your questions. Chris, is there anything else?
Well, just in case, I think everybody's on this service except for me, but I found out that there had been some more car vandalism as of last night. So hopefully there'll be a lot attending, and questions and answers should be addressed.
How will the Zoom link be made available?
It's in the, board, or in the
It'll be-
bulletin.
it'll be in the
Is-
bulletin.
It's always in the bulletin.
Scratched it, okay.
Didn't memorize it.
Didn't know, no, I didn't even see.
Yes, we may, it's possible to put on another. Alert to.
Yeah.
So people know it's coming. Alrighty, the next item is the, and I put this in here, not that it will satisfy everybody, but because this issue has now come up multiple times in the recent past. And that is a liability exposure of town volunteers. Sue Ellen, our town attorney, and the town's insurer, who's local, legit, have assured us in a number of ways about waiving the language of the actual insurance policy in our face. That volunteers who perform activities for the town under the direction of the town council and mayor, in other words, they've actually doing something they're authorized to do, are agents of the town and are therefore covered for liabilities from both actions they may do. I mean, if you swing a hoe or you hit somebody and hurt them, okay, covered for that as well as things suffered by them in the course of their. That's not an health insurance policy. It is it has to do with liability when there would be a fault. Let's just. I don't even know whether this would be qualified. You're working with the Gateway Committee and you fell into a ditch and hurt yourself, and you claim this put you out of work for 3 months. This is who's responsible for this. So I believe this is the kind of thing our liability policy would cover. So, all right.
So, no,
I don't
wait.
know how to do this in any more official way. Writing it down would be basically what I've just said. We have been assured our policy, we've been told our policy covers. The exact language can certainly be looked at. I will say that town attorney Sue Ellen Ferguson mentioned a particular insurance expert at Legit named, correct me if I'm wrong, Gene Saunderston.
Scott
Saunderston.
Sanderson.
Yeah, that she relies on for the most accurate information regarding municipal insurance, which is what Legit was created to do. So, and Gene and I talked to him in regard to several things, some in the parks, and he's one of the experts who basically stated what I told you regarding general protection of volunteers.
So I've been asked by a couple of people, I feel I'm gonna say, but this can be for professionals who are doing volunteer work here. This is very wishy-washy what we're saying. I understand what you're saying, but it's kind of, and people are looking for something written that, well, then they can't volunteer or why can't Sue Ellen?
It's up to you.
What?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
We could pay Sue Ellen to write up what will still be a wishy-washy.
But it would be it would be a document it would be something, because right now there's nothing, it's just,
So when we had that meeting with Sue Ellen, I asked that same question.
I know you did,
And
right?
she said, it's up to you, that we didn't have to have one, but then,
But there was
it's up to each municipality.
we have some people who have some serious jobs in this town. And I didn't know this, but there's liability, they have agreements that they're not gonna do something that will make them liable. If their employees get sued for whatever reason. And it's just a problem for some people.
Yeah.
And
So-
if there's something we can do, we can't do it, but then they have to make a decision whether to participate in kind of activities. or
Well,
not.
I frankly don't, I recall the letter of that question, but I didn't understand. I for one did not understand how a job, professional job is connected to an activity the employee conducts outside of his job, and it's not just the town, it's anything.
Mhm.
And it didn't make sense to me, to tell you the truth. Not that it maybe has some validity, but I don't understand how it applies.
Well, it was, I'm not gonna talk about the person, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but it does,
So,
but it.
Can I just add here? I think we need something in writing from Sue Ellen. It's just a short memo spelling out what she said and I mean, memory is not reliable. So it really would help to have something in writing from Sue Ellen.
Yeah.
Okay, keep in mind, the town has been operating like this for decades.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't make it right.
Wait a second, I have examined the records of legit, of this insurer. There are no claims even made, let alone paid, of anything. So you realize, from my point of view, this is a solution in search of a problem. And you can say, I mean, this is, legal is legal. I'm telling you, Sue Ellen can write the most, if she's any kind of lawyer, her words will be just about as good as no words at all.
Mhm.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
It's a total waste of effort.
No, I think we need something in writing. We with our new town administrator job, we spent a lot of time saying we're really going to sort of up our game a little bit and try to be more compliant with laws and policies and regulations. And I think we really do need to have this in writing.
Are you making a motion?
It does.
Look,
I can make a motion. Yes, I move that we ask Sue Ellen to put the volunteer liability policy in writing.
I second.
I would first ask her what other municipalities have in regard to this issue. If there is such a thing as a statement of liability reassurance then that would.
She offered to do it for us if we want. We have a motion on the second.
It's still not gonna guarantee anything. If somebody decides to sue, they're not gonna look at it because it's not official. It's her opinion. So they're still gonna go to the policy. I mean, I don't see that it's gonna, ultimately, if it came down to a suit, make a difference. I mean, but if it makes people feel more comfortable, I don't think it protects you any more than not saying.
I think it provides clarity on what's covered and what's not covered. It's not to say nobody can sue anybody, but then we'll understand, anybody can read the document and understand what the situation is, what the policy is.
So just a question, Summer in the Park, we have a lot of children that are coming in there on our Grove residents. And say our Grove volunteer is there and the child gets hurt. And the parent goes, who's not a Grove person, because a Grove person would never sue. Right? But if the parent goes, and they do, and they just go crazy and sue everybody, including the individual, then
As Barbara said, anybody can sue anybody.
Right,
It doesn't mean it will be a successful suit. For
And I
example,
believe,
the park has a waiver.
Mhm.
All
Okay, that doesn't.
responsible parties sign, parents for kids. And Sue Ellen, we revised that this year with the help of Laurel Goldberg, and Sue Ellen made a few changes to it, but not many. And the key Friday, the thing you're talking about is that the town is not is not responsible for anything except negligence. And of course,
John, with all due respect, this is a time for the counselors to weigh in, and we've heard from you, which is valuable. Thank you. But I feel like, other counselors should be able to make their comments, and then we can go to a vote.
I'm giving information, Barbara, to understand with respect to Peter's question about summer in the parks. There is a waiver which covers liability. I think that's useful information. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to ask Sue Ellen to write a statement of liability incurred by town volunteers. Is that a fair statement? Is that what you're motioning?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Well, I don't think it does any good to engage Sue Ellen unless we get a document that means something. It's not, and that's why it seems like, as we said, this goes back to our insurer and what do they insure? It seems like, wouldn't the insurer be able to provide some kind of documentation for us?
We have an insurance policy which is
400 pages long.
That's
100,
a lot of that, it's.
So let's just say on page 277, I think it is, where they cover this. Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine.
my view is no, but if it was clearly stated, it would have been given to us.
Yeah.
And I've stopped, this is what, here's a summary of what the insurance policy says about this.
Yeah.
They do that. I mean, we have that about automobile use and other stuff we don't, doesn't apply to us.
It will be litigated if it comes up.
Right, so I'm definitely gonna go and
Yeah.
again, approach Sue Ellen about this, could you, without spending forever.
Yeah.
Put together a statement that would maybe reassuring to people who are this.
That would be
the question. So anyway, we have a motion on the table. Any other discussion? All in favor of this?
Yeah.
Barbara, I assume you're in favor. Patty's. All against? One. I take that some abstentions here. Abstention, 2 abstentions. Okay, motion passes 3-1 and 2 abstentions. I will pursue.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Barbara.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Okay. All right, just the last 2 items are announcements. The weekend is coming up on the 13th and 14th. With a bunch of activities on Saturday. On Sunday is a jazz brunch, but apparently there had been a kids thing arranged for the Circle Fest, which couldn't happen, and that will happen along with the jazz brunch on Sunday.
It's the Magic Bus.
The Magic Bus.
Yes.
It's not a school bus.
No, it is. It is. It's the Magic Bus. Okay.
Does it fly?
It flies.
Very neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then because the council meeting will come after the July 4th celebration, everybody should be aware that's coming up, and the bulletin will have full details of the schedule for the July 4th events, the ever popular parade, the field, the judging process, etc. All right. That's all I, my report. Anyone have anything else needs to be said here? If not, we will go on to administrative matters. These shouldn't take all that long, but you never know, except for the last one. The first one is the budget transfer resolution, which I should have, which you saw.
Right.
So I need a
Motion to approve the budget transfer.
Yeah, motion to introduce first.
Introduce it.
Second.
Peter has moved and
Let's do that.
Nick has seconded the budget transfer resolution. Any other discussion? All in favor? All right, that motion that resolution is adopted. Next item, I'm gonna let Chris talk to. But it's titled Adhering to Resolution 2022-07. The Catherine Hall use regulations by all users, and it's the all users.
So I'm on limited 5 minutes, so I'll talk fast, right?
Right.
As we all know, MacArthur Hall's gone through a significant amount of refurbishment, restoration, cleaning, and painting. So, if you take a look at the Washington Grove website, on there for rentals, it makes reference to actually 2 resolutions. One's outdated, but resolution 2015-08, and then it was superseded by resolution 2307. And in both cases, it says resolution regulations for the rental in Catherine Hall. However, there's a statement towards the bottom of this that says that this also applies to town-sponsored events. So in other words, anybody that uses the hall has to, comply with this resolution, which talks about security deposits and all that, but it also talks about occupancy requirements and primarily cleanup requirements. There's also a checklist, it talks about alcoholic beverages, smoking, prohibitions, within 50 feet. Everybody needs to read this, and everybody needs to sign a document providing information, contact information to our town administrator basically it's on the website too. It's called the application for use of Catherine Hall by Washington Grove organizations, and it provides the title, the dates for where you're going to use this or when you're going to use this, contact people, phone numbers, and it's something that goes to file. So whenever there's an issue, like I ran into last year when Summer in the Park, so last week, we ran into an emergency here with the fire suppression system. I didn't know who to contact. And I was scrambling, trying to make appropriate contacts so that the kids could be protected in addition to the building with the fire suppression system. So that's the importance of this. Please, everybody go to the website, read these resolutions, read the forms, adhere to the requirement. That's all I have.
I would just say that, so I went online with Circle Fest and pulled up the form, which I actually could find very easily, filled it out online, and just forwarded it to one of those people behind me. And it was amazingly easy to do, painless, which it usually isn't. So the system, it's one of those things that really work well in the growth, is doing that. I have 2 to do, by the way. I'm using weekend.
And I think the thing is it's just that it's an oversight, and nobody really, realized that it was there. The fact that we have 2 resolutions pretty much saying the same thing. The town decided that there was a significance and importance to follow through with this. So please adhere to the resolution.
Right. It's the besides being pretty easy to do, the idea is just to refresh your memory about the kind of the things that are required when you're using the hall. I think there's something about recycling in there. Something I have noticed has not been terribly present, and that may be partially a fault. We don't have enough recycling bins, whatever, but it's just one of the things that an activity here at the hall what the council wants to happen during those activities. So just making this routine application, you've been using the hall for years. Now you have to fill out an application, but the point is to review what it is needs to be done.
It provides not only what needs to be done, safety features, but also contact points for the town if something were to go wrong, or and that's the other thing too, cleanup, and there's a hall closing checklist on the website also. That makes it very easy for somebody who is using the facility, be it renters or events, to just use this checklist, and it tells you how to lock the place up, you know, clean the place up, and turn off the lights. So, and then what you do when you leave is setting it up for the next person to come in and rent. Nobody wants to clean somebody else's mess, bottom line. So, thank you.
Good points.
Okay. All right, I just want to revisit briefly the town administrator, Anna's here, she started, last week. She's already an old pro. At least some people seem to think so. You know, we have tremendous expectations for the.
She's not on the camera and you could introduce her.
I'm sorry, she was introduced, the last one, yeah, sorry, she's here, stand closer. Yeah, right there is good, there.
Oh, yeah, scoot down.
Okay, you're welcome to come in and say hello, of course, and, you know, put a face, to the name. But we have high expectations of what she'll be able to accomplish. But of course, first she needs to, which is why she's overlapping Kathy, is, you know, you have to learn the ropes as to how interactions, you know, what you need to do during the day, you know, talking to residents and what they need, and the whole basic clerk portion of the job, which you're not gonna learn in 2 weeks, you're not gonna learn in a month. It'll take at least a year because things change within a year. But in addition to that, we do have these, we believe Anna is more than capable of helping implement some really desirable services. We're not gonna list them here. I've listed.
Don't overwhelm her, you don't want to be.
Yeah, that's, and that was my last. We want to keep, you know, we want to keep everything manageable. And we're gonna try and do that. We have the same group that hired her is going to help set the priorities for these other services and whatever that we think she's going to be very helpful in providing. Okay, that was all I wanted to say on that. Next item is Summer in the Parks update. Eva Patron could not be here tonight, but she did provide a written summary of where the preparations for Summer in the Parks is. I'm not going to go through it, it's in the materials. But everyone will recall that this year, the Summer in the Parks, classified as a youth camp day, partial day as it is going to be permitted or licensed by the state. That has incurred as you might imagine, a substantial amount of paperwork and organizing. Done once, it'll be much easier the next time, but this is the first. And she and Laurel have almost got it all together, and you should read her report. This was an unforeseen huge volunteer time commitment for this year, much more so than usual. And by the way, it was oversubscribed. So they had to cut off the number of people this year, so it's still a very popular program. All right, last item has to do with the basketball court resurfacing, and I'm going to let Peter speak to this.
So going back historically, so the last year, we put out RP with, it had 2 I think bids that came back. It all began this tiny company that said they could do it for $15,000. And so we put $15,000 in the budget. By the time we got around to actually putting the bids out, they were gone. So we had one company, Mid Atlantic Asphalt, who was the middle bidder, who we liked, and we said, well, we didn't have the money last year to do it, so we decided we put the money in for this year. So anyway, finally got back in touch with Mid Atlantic, and last year their bid was around 22 something, and the cost of asphalt has gone up 5% since the as you know, gas has gone up 25%, so 25% since the you want to call it a war or whatever. And I was expecting a price of over 30,000 for this, but they got the bid back to me Friday, and I had to confirm it today. And I sent it out. I don't know if this post, but I sent it out to you. It was like a little over $25,000 to resurface the basketball to our specifications. And that includes also lining the courts professionally. So they would do this for that price. And now Steve and I met with the company last year twice. They came out twice and measured the courts, did all the specs on it. Nice people. And we basically when we put the RFP out, we specified exactly what we wanted: the fabric, the amount of asphalt that went on, clean up everything. And their proposal that we sent covers all of that. Steve, I don't trust myself. Steve went through the RFP and looked at it, had a couple of questions which they answered, and we're pretty confident that this is a good way to go forward with it. And so what I'd like to do is make the motion to at least open up the conversation as far as accepting Mid-Atlantic Asphalt's bid right now. And also, like, you can look at their website and look at their ratings from their customers, which is 5 out of 5. It's legit. They have nice pictures. They show you what they've done. They also read tennis courts, John, by the way. And they're going to be here next week where we can meet, but we'll talk about that. But anyway,
It's getting cheaper.
what's that?
I said the price must have been getting cheaper.
No, see, the other, as we discussed this, I'll just say, talking to them today, that the prices are it's like, it's like a slinky or a yo-yo. It's not gonna go like the gas isn't going down as quickly as it should. And talking with this woman who works there, and she said she is really, really nervous about the future of what they're doing right now because of the prices of what's happening with asphalt. It's really affecting their business significantly. So it's not gonna get cheaper than it is right now. It's probably gonna go up. And I would just, I feel like that's good. I also feel for the playground committee. I think that for them, this isn't part of the master plan per se, but it's one of those little wins that they would have to fix it up. I think it would be positive move. So discussion.
You made a motion, is there a second?
Oh.
I'll second.
Did you catch that entire motion?
Seconded, so I didn't catch exactly what the motion was.
Oh.
Motion to open the conversation and accept Mid-Atlantic for our vendor.
Right.
So this is not to award them the contract. It's to talk with them about.
No, I would like to make the motion to award the contract. That's the motion I was trying to make.
So we're striking the other one?
Yeah, strike that and we'll make it simple.
I'll second that, John Porter. I'm in favor of it.
I just have one comment, at this point with well, it doesn't matter where we spend it. I mean, we can spend it before, I doubt we can spend it. We have to sign a contract, so this is just awarding a contract, then we have a contract.
Yeah, the contract.
And then we have to get the work done.
Right.
Don't we have 30,000 budgeted for this already?
There is in this year, and it's also in next year.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
$5,000 under the budget.
Well,
No.
there will be other things we'll.
I was gonna ask for 30,000 because there could be, some add-ons that take place.
Okay.
Like with anything, so.
But we're gonna hit the budget.
But the 30 is separate playground money, right? Isn't that?
let's not get into that.
Yeah, right,
It's about
right.
contract.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
contract would be for the amount they propose.
Right.
Whether other work needs to be done, I mean, maybe you need a new basketball pole, I'm making that up. I mean, a pole for the basketball or something else, that has to come out of money somewhere, not part of the contract.
Right, I got it.
Like I said, Steve, RJ's gotta put some dirt around it, stuff like that. Yeah, so it's the things that it's gonna take their book solid. So they wouldn't be able to begin until a month anyway, and, so it's,
But you can sign it before.
right. But, and I'm not sure if we sign it, it still may not lock us in, if we can find out into that price.
Do they have a guarantee also?
Of what? Yeah, they have a 1 year guarantee, and then they also have guarantees that warranties we can buy going on, but I would think that would be something that we would need to do that. The courts aren't, they're not exactly overused. So, and the fabric they put down that was specified really helps keep the water from getting underneath, that would cause it to go up. Yeah, I mean, this is, seems like it's a good company. We've been talking about it forever. A lot of people who really want to get it done. I think we have some happy campers, but not some in the park. It won't be ready for that. Okay.
Okay, so the motion is to approve awarding a contract to redo the basketball court to whatever their name is.
Oh, yeah, Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic. All in favor? I see 5 here. We're both.
Yeah, Barbara's up there, she's.
Oh, she's over there.
All right.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, contract's awarded,
Cross that off
we'll
my
work on. So this is something you get involved in. All right.
You.
All right, so now the next item, I moved up, it's a little bit out of order, nobody questioned it. It was at the request of Eva Paulson, and this item is an ordinance to sell land on Second Avenue to her. This is one of the properties in Article 17 or this is that was found to have well, it probably pre-existed the survey, but when the blocks, when the town did its surveys, it was discovered that parts of certain structures were on town property, and they'd been on town property a long time. In order to resolve that situation for about 8 or 9 properties, we came up with a process that would enable them to purchase the property, the town property that their structures are on. It comes with a condition, however, because they're all of these have historic town historic implications for the buildings. And so it includes the sale includes some restrictions to not or to meet the historic character features in any subsequent building, painting, whatever. All right, so this is just one of them. We've done this 3 times now already. So the ordinance is prepared. Basically, this is an introduction. It requires a public hearing and before it can be adopted, and then it's a sale. It will require an actual sale. It's a sale document as well. So that's my my preamble on this. I need a motion to introduce it.
I'll move to introduce.
Mary moves. All right, John has seconded introduction of this ordinance. We need to set a date for a public hearing, which I suggest will be the first thing at July's council meeting. For any comments on the proposal. It involves declaring the property that is being sold as surplus. So there's a procedure for selling town land, and the hearing will allow people to comment on that. All right, so it's moved and seconded for this ordinance to be introduced. Any discussion? All right, I'm glad you guys are asking the history of this one. The history of this one, they already have an easement. They got it, so the house caught fire and had to be rebuilt. This is, and in order to, and then so rebuilding it involved rebuilding on the town land. Well, that has certain issues. We know about property issues here, right? So the solution there was to grant an easement, not a purchase, but an easement, because we didn't have this purchase procedure. Don't think. So she got an easement so she could rebuild the porch pretty much exactly the way it was before the fire. And now this is turning that easement into a curse.
Oh, it's really nice. House looks great.
Yeah, and everybody loves the rebuilding. That can't be said often enough. Okay, any other comments? All in favor?
Yeah.
Peter?
Yeah, what's that?
All right, Barbara, yeah,
Yeah, that's the.
okay, that's unanimous.
So July meeting is when we'll do the public hearing?
I'm sorry?
July meeting?
The July meeting will be the public hearing, and then almost certainly the council will vote on it after at the regular part of the meeting.
Great,
Okay?
thank you.
All right.
Oh, that was the back part.
Okay, so now we move on to a piece of unfinished business, which is pretty much the last thing before council reports, and that is the playground renovation and modernization RFP, design RFP, that we discussed 2 meetings ago, in April, I believe. And the playground committee has been working pretty hard on this and has brought a draft RFP for consideration by the council, and we'll start off with Oscar Ramos, who is the chair, who will give us a brief, relatively brief introduction to it. Except I can't do it for him. Are you not going to show anything, Oscar?
Yeah, please. Yeah, if you can let me share my screen.
I have to go to another computer to do that.
Hey, sorry about that.
You've got to go home.
Yeah, I know.
I'll be back in half hour.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I want to give people an overview with the timeline.
Yeah, go ahead. You can start.
Yeah.
Well, it's this stupid.
And there's a lot of questions about the playground, what's been happening, what we have plans. So, yeah, I just kind of want to remind everyone how we got to this point, what's in the RFP in terms of big picture. I already sent the draft to the council members late last week, and so really what I hope to have today is more of a back and forth in terms of guidance from the council. You've already seen the document. As we continue to work on it, we really just need to understand what form you want it to take. So I see you've got me as the co-host, so can we see? Let me share this here. And here we go. So can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So yeah, thank you for the time to speak at this meeting. So yeah, I just want to go over the timeline. I'll speak quickly. You can read the screen, so I'm not going to read everything at you here. But that's the outline of what I want to cover. The main thing is to get feedback because the committee's been doing a lot of work to prepare this draft. And yeah, we're at the point now where we need to get clarity from the council in terms of what you want it to look like. So for everyone who maybe hasn't been up to, stayed up to date with all the ins and outs of this process began in December 2024, when the council voted to remove the metal jungle gym. There was a request that any future changes to the playground should be accompanied by a plan over that would outline what's being removed, what's going in, so that any future changes to the playground are done with some kind of cohesive vision, so that things aren't being done piecemeal. So all of last year, we convened a work group that developed a comprehensive plan, and so that's what the council voted on in December. And so that I'll summarize that really briefly soon. January, we created a playground committee, and we've been tasked with implementing this playground comprehensive plan. And so there's been a lot of shifting in this whole process. So we began January with $30,000 allocated in the budget, but at the same time, we were waiting on the outcome of a state grant. And so the playground committee held off on requesting any purchases out of that $30,000 because we wanted to see what the outcome of the state grant would be. And then we got the state grant. And so we now have access to $250,000 reimbursable. So we have to spend the money first and then apply to have that money be reimbursed. And so right around when that happened, we were starting to consider, a train set. And then we got the request from the council and the mayor saying, we need to produce a site plan with the specific dimensions where every piece of equipment is going to go, that addresses the water mitigation measures because there's standing water in some of these areas. And so at that point, we said as a committee, we should pay for professionals to produce this plan that can really address all the questions that the council will have. And so the council authorized us to develop an RFP, and so that's what we've been working on over the past few weeks. So just to give everyone just kind of a brief overview of this comprehensive plan, this is what the work group developed last year. It's complex. We divided up the playground into 9 different zones, and it's not a wholesale remodeling kind of going from the ground up. We're keeping a lot of the vintage or legacy equipment like the merry-go-round, a big discussion around that, or the horse swings. There is some equipment that will be removed, including the metal jungle gym, which has been designated for removal since 2024. And we have an idea of certain kinds of equipment that we'd like to purchase and install in different areas. And the plan includes an option for us to design and build some of that equipment ourselves, specifically the Circle Village. The idea was that we could have, Grove architects design something that looks very Grovey and have people build it out. And so it's like I said, it's a complex plan that we're trying to get implemented. In the meantime, we've been talking to different firms to get a sense of what is it that playground firms do so that we can write an RFP with those kinds of services in mind. And what we found is that there's different types of playground firms. Here's an example of one of them. This is if you've ever been to Constitutional Gardens in Old Town Gaithersburg, this was designed by a firm in Washington, D.C., and they have a lot of services in-house. So, for example, this kind of firm, they do design build projects. So an RFP that speaks to this kind of firm is a design build firm where you put out an RFP for the design and then they also build it. And so this particular firm did this design for Gaithersburg and then partnered with the company to implement the design as one single contract. And so, they have in-house civil engineers that address erosion, soil control. They're well-versed in ADA guidance. They work with the installers. There's community meetings. They estimated 10% of the overall budget is what they charge for the design. And then the idea is the rest of it would be spent on the actual, services and the materials and the equipment. That's one approach. And that's the first place that we interviewed. A different kind is a playground firm that does the design. So it's a 2-step process. You put out an RFP for a design, and then we receive the design, and then we bid out for contractors to then build the design. And so this is an example from a firm that developed this park at Garrett Park. And so these are examples of what we're assuming is the kind of site plan that you requested, which is why we're doing this whole process. And so you can see here they'll give you the renderings and then the very specific site plan with the paths and all the dimensions and all that kind of stuff. This kind of firm is you're paying for the design, and then I guess there would be another RFP where then we have people bid on that design. So that's another kind of approach to this. And then you have the playground the playground reps, and these are this is Cunningham Recreation. They do the one-step RFP where they give you the plan for the equipment. You're paying for the equipment, and that incorporates the land preparation, to address drainage, around that equipment. It's not a civil engineering kind of an in-house whole playground design kind of firm. They will give you the maps, they'll give you the renderings, they'll do the drainage, the land prep around the pieces. And my understanding is that they don't have a design line item fee. You're paying for the equipment, and then all the services accompany the equipment. So there's three very different ways of approaching this. And with that in mind, we started working on a draft RFP. I'm not going to go through and walk everyone through the draft RFP. I think really more what we want now is to have the council give us some feedback in terms of what you want us to do in the final draft. But I want to give thanks to Laurel, Lisa, Peggy, John, Evan Whalen, Andy, Jonathan, for writing and working on this over the past few weeks. And so the council members, you got the draft last week, around Thursday, late Thursday, and we've had a lot of back and forth with a few of you. So I just want to thank everyone who's given us feedback already, because really, what at this point, I think what's we're learning is that we have different ideas in terms of what should be in this draft. And so it's been a worthwhile process to develop it. But really, the the way that we wrote our draft was that it's a design and build RFP. I think now, being familiar with these different approaches, I think it's fair to say that ours is a design and build RFP, kind of in line with the first example, like the Old Town Gaithersburg Park, which is a design and build, or it could even be for the equipment company, where they're developing a plan based off the equipment, and they do the ground prep. And so those were the assumptions that we had when we wrote this up. I mean, the idea is that we're asking the firms to study our comprehensive plan, and develop a design that implements it. And we're prioritizing certain zones, zones 1, 4, 5, and 6, that are the must builds. And then we're asking for plans for the rest of the zones. We'd like for them to give us a plan for what it would look like to build the whole thing, so that we have a sense of what that would cost. And we would focus on those priority zones, with the option, depending on the budget, of adopting the work for some of those other alternative, optional zones. So that was the idea in terms of how we wrote the RFP. We sent it to you. There's been a lot of feedback in terms of maybe that's not what you thought we were supposed to be doing. And so really, what I'd like to have tonight is the feedback. We're not wedded to any particular approach. I think our priority is to get this done sooner than later. And so we'd like to have a final draft for approval in July. And so for me, there's a sense of urgency. I just want to know, what is it that you want to see in a final draft? Do you want to see just the design RFP, and then we have the second step later on? Or are you open to the design build RFP in the style of like the first example that I showed you?
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said that just a design was probably going to be about $30,000. Do you have any idea what the cost of any of these comprehensive total design build would be?
Yeah, if I look at my notes, I mean, the Garrett Park one was, he said it was a smaller budget than what we have in the grant. And so that's a small park that they did in Garrett Park. So yeah, and then the first one, which was like the firm that designed the park in Gaithersburg. Yeah, they spoke about, it's about 10%, depending if you need certain surveys. But their goal would be to maximize the budget to be spent on the actual materials and the equipment. So it sounded like it could be done within the grant. And then, of course, if you look at the ones that's just the equipment reps, you're buying the equipment, and then there's certain services, the installation, the ground prep that accompanies the equipment.
That seems the most restrictive way to proceed, because you're pretty much kind of marrying yourself with one manufacturer, rather than going through a design process where you pick out, possibly from multiple manufacturers, picking out the best pieces that will work within the design, rather than picking a manufacturer and making their pieces fit within what you want to do. Where you get
Yeah. Yeah, there was one manufacturer that I just spoke with last week, and he was talking about he really had read through our our comprehensive plan, and we spoke about the train, which is not a company that he represents, and he said, if you order the train, we could install it. We would not purchase it ourselves, obviously, but if we have it delivered, they can install it. The RFP also included things like maintenance, restoration of the horse swings. And we spoke about that too and said, we couldn't, his firm would not do restoration work or the reorientation of the vintage equipment because of liability issues. Some of these pieces are out of compliance with current safety standards. And so he was saying, you might have some challenges with companies that would work directly on those, but he said that he could provide quotes from third parties that could do that kind of work. So there's a little bit of coordinating that I think they're willing to do. But certainly, yeah, I mean the equipment reps, they represent a few companies. Game Time is one of them, and then they have Lapset, which is like a wooden like a natural wood design kind of company as well. I will say that if we do the design RFP and then we wait for the designs, I'm assuming timeline wise, if we can approve that RFP in July, then we receive the bids in August, and then we're selecting the contract in September. We're waiting for the designs into October. We're writing a new RFP in November, December. We're getting the bids in January, and then we're starting the construction January, February. We get a snowstorm. Maybe we're starting March. Um, as opposed to having a design build that it's one RFP. We get the design. They can work with people that can implement it. It's done in-house. And then if we approve the RFP in July, and then we get the bids, and then we can select something in September, October, they could start in the fall, and maybe we'd have that done by Memorial Day next year.
Are there multiple companies that would be able to give you a design build, not the playground equipment people, but to send that RFP out to different companies?
Yeah, we would need to look at that. If clearly the DC company can do that. The second one that I showed you, that was the one that did the mainly the design, and then they bid it out. I would need to follow up with them as to whether that's something that they do. Um, the playground companies can do that, but if we're really looking for more the in-house complete, the civil engineers that can address the water issues, we would need to find some more that can do that.
I would think any playground design firm will have access to engineers and all that kind of stuff. That would be endemic to their discipline, that they'd have to have the skills and the team to be able to do that kind of analysis. So I'm not sure you have to assume that that's just because one firm has it, that all firms wouldn't have that. So
Mhm.
I'm just, I like, I don't, I thought that we originally, the council signed on for a design first, a two-phase thing. I like the way you present it now, and design build sounds great. But in the real world, when I read through your proposal, I was totally overwhelmed with so much information, and there's so much. I've spent 20 years responding to proposals,
Mhm, mhm. Okay.
and I'm reading that and going, I could never, there's so many risks in there that are very difficult. And I mean, we all want the same thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to get the most money we can for the 250. And I'm just like reading that proposal, and it's a beautiful plan. But knowing what people charge these days for services, um, you know, I don't see how it's gonna be. I mean, this could be done for 250, that'd be fantastic. If we can have somebody that would shepherd us through that, that would be great. Like the stormwater was very similar. When because it was overwhelming trying to figure out what to do, and we had the consulting come in who really helped guide us through it, but it's amazing. It's just that it was an amazing job to do that, and you're kind of in a similar situation. So, and we like, well, you guys know a lot more than we do about what's going on here. And it sounds good when you say it, but like I said, when I read it, I was like, yeah, you heard all my responses.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time. I wanted to be positive about it. I didn't want to like make it sound like I was trying to criticize you or anything like that. But I think John and I both had the exact kind of same response.
Yeah.
And now I listen to you and I go, well, maybe, maybe it will, because you've talked to people, if you
Well,
can
that-
pull it off, yeah.
I don't necessarily think that just because, so there is a possibility you could bid this out for design, and one of the companies you give it to is the design build firm. And they can do a design, another company could do a design, you can have 3 designers come up with proposals, for an RFP just to do design work. And if you like the design build firm the best, if they come up with the best design, they can still be hired. Doesn't mean you, and they could even bid on other person's design they would like the best, maybe doesn't have a building capacity. So you could go to that same firm, we didn't like your design, but what we want to get you to give me an estimate on this design that we do like. It gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of looking at multiple designs or getting proposals from lots of different people.
Here's a question I have, because you guys have more experience with RFPs and the design only process. If we bid out for a design, for that implements the comprehensive plan, are there controls in the RFP that we can write in saying that the design that you give us should be able to be built within a certain dollar amount? I mean, they might say, okay, you've got this comprehensive plan, here's our design, and we see this beautiful design, and then
You do
we're
that with
trying to bid it
architects
out.
all the time. You go to an architect, or if you're going through any design process, we said, this is our budget that we need to implement. Now, sometimes the designer will come back with a design that just can't be implemented within that budget, and that's part of the design process. But certainly you can give them a goal to design within. So we only have now, but you also have to realize that you could, if you have a design only process, you can decide to build it out over time. You may have some of the money now, you could have the rest of the money in the future. So you can't build, so you wanted to concentrate on a certain zones. You could say, well, we're just going to build out these zones this year with this money, but we'll build out the other zones next year with the rest of the money, because we have design that outlines how we're going to do that over time.
That's what we're attempting to do. I mean, so that's a lot of pieces to this, but the idea was that, we have the comprehensive plan has 9 different zones, and we're not going to build all that out at once. And so the idea was design build, where you're giving us the design for the entire thing, but we're saying that we're going to prioritize the building for a few of these zones.
Right.
And so they're developing the full design, but then they're focusing on the dollar amounts for those particular zones that we're emphasizing, so that we could say, okay, we like the design, and you've done it in a way where it's feasible given our grant, so let's go ahead and build it. As opposed to, I guess my biggest concern is just the timeline. That's really what it is. Whether it's design or design build, itself is not the difference. It's the time that's going to push us out into late summer or maybe fall next year.
So the thing that I'm remembering some of this, one of the things that concerns me is if you do a design build, there's so much information that the bidder doesn't have. Like even like with water remediation, things like that, where like what's that actually? They're saying that this is a fixed price. This doesn't have to be fixed price, but this is fixed price. So say I can do this and this and this, but then they finally start doing the work and they realize, oh my God, this place really has flooding over here. This place has some problems, and that's just like one tiny facet of all the things that you're asking for in there. Whereas if you did the design first, a lot of that information can be figured out so that they would know what they're bidding on. So that's see if you had somebody who really knew what you wanted and had a really good feel for the layout, all that stuff, kind of had some inside information because they come over here and they talk and they really researched it, then I would be more comfortable going with the design build. But if you want to be fair to the competitor, I mean, if you have somebody you like, there's definitely a way of working it out. I mean, it's done all the time with the government. So
Mhm.
They write the proposal basically for you, if you do it. Or they do a white paper or whatever you wanna call it, but I don't know if you have anybody who you really like.
I mean, we've had two the Gaither the DC firm that did the park in Gaithersburg. That's a design build. They came here. They've taken pictures and they kind of they walked the area and had a lot of ideas about what they could do. The playground rep, most recent one, has been here maybe 3 times. He actually came here back when Eva was still, starting this whole process. So he's familiar with the town. So yeah, we've got a couple that I think have been here and they know the town and they could design something, with a view towards, they're familiar with the grounds itself.
I would just supplement Oscar. Part of our proposed process here is to encourage potential bidders to come out, meet with us, walk the grounds. We have a draft topographical survey that was done by Evan. What's his last name?
Whalen,
right? He's actually just finished school doing playground design for his master's, so he's very, very interested in the intricacies and technical details of this stuff. So, we have an idea of how the land lays now. We know what soil types are in which areas of the park. So there's a wealth of information for bidders to have access to ahead of submitting bids for this process. So, obviously with any major project, you're not going to know all the issues going into it, but I think the risk of, stumbling upon something unforeseen that would cause the price to skyrocket is pretty minimal as far as this goes.
Hey, have you considered just
say again?
We lost your audio. You're on mute. The room's muted.
Yeah.
The room itself got muted somehow.
The whole thing got muted. Can I unmute you? I guess I'm in charge right now. I don't know what. You can transfer control back to you if that would help, or do I have to do that? But the whole hall just went quiet. I'm trying to see how I could transfer back to John.
Yeah, I got what you're doing.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know what I'm saying. No, so based on our conversation, I think it would be I think a good way to go would be to spend a few $1,000s, because this is kind of what we do with stormwater, right? Is hire a consultant to come in, look at the RFP and say, is this,
Tell us how to.
yeah,
Advise us how to go about it.
yeah, exactly, what does this, will this work with vendors and then maybe rearrange it or whatever? And and somebody who knows the business, I think that would be a good way, because the RFP has all the information in it, it's well written. I just think, as I said, it's vague as far as there's very lot of risk involved. And so a consultant, that was great, the guy that came in. And it's like out of $250,000, you spend $5,000 or less on it. That's a great investment. Yeah. Then maybe do a design build. That'd be fantastic.
So let me repeat that. So you're saying that if we got a consultant to give us feedback on the RFP, you would be okay with us aiming for a design build RFP?
Well, it depends on what he says, or she, whatever, they would look at that and they would give you an advice on how to proceed. Which would be a lot better than us trying to tell you what to do.
Right.
And maybe not John, but me.
Yeah, the other question I have is what scares me is design build, but then one of the things that you said that you were going to focus on was zones 1, 4, 5, and 6, right? So when you say design build, are you gonna And that's where I'm kind of confused. Are you gonna tell the people design the entire facility, playground, whatever, and then focus on zone one with the equipment that you guys are gonna stipulate, or, you know, if you say, you know, zone 1, 4, 5, and 6, it's gonna be pretty broad for somebody that you've already selected all the equipment, it sounds like, and they're gonna have to price it out and then the other question I have is with this RFP, did you run it by anybody on F&B? You know, because you're gonna be doing kind of remediation work and, you know, groundwater work and.
It's in the proposal.
So yeah, okay, so your first question.
Did they run
So-
the
Yeah, they said they will coordinate with F&B.
Yeah.
That contractors would too.
Yeah.
So that is included in there.
So that we'll go
Yeah,
backwards. The F&B issue, you know, we'd like shading, and a question was, well, what if in the design they're talking about, you know, trees? Then we absolutely want them to be able to coordinate with F&B, and that kind of thing. We would ask them for a design for the entire playground, the design for the comprehensive plan. So what does that look like? Focusing on, we're going to build out those priority areas because we're not going to have enough money to deliver the entire thing. And in those zones, you know, we want a large structure, you know, somewhere in zone 1, so they can recommend what that looks like. We'd like to have a train, and they can coordinate with us and say, well, we want to buy a certain kind of train, and you figure out where that's going to go in with this design and the ADA path and make it look cohesive. You know, we think that we can replace the small fort, you know, with another similar structure for the similar age group. So those are the priority areas. And also zone 6, you know, with the Circle Village, that's a priority area. And we're saying we definitely want you to have the designs for that area and build out whatever kind of groundwork we need. But we may want to build those structures ourselves or not. So give us a plan with some recommendation for some structures, but that might be a thing that we approve of the structures we're recommending for zone 6, or we might say, you know, you're prepping the ground because there's a lot of standing water there sometimes. Prep the ground, and then we may just decide that we want to build it ourselves after this is all done. So we're trying to incorporate that where it is the entire design so that we have it, but then we're going to build out those core parts first.
when you say build out, I mean, you're talking everything that's needed for that facility to be built on. In other words, on the ground prep, if there's any removal that needs to be done, it's going to be removed. And equipment be installed and inspected. I mean, you did, you know, I think everybody recognizes that you guys did a great job putting a lot of information together in your RFP. But then like Peter's saying, there's maybe too much. and it's kind of confusing when you read that. And then now you're saying design build, that's what kind of, you know, has me scratching my head also. What is it that, so it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got zone 1, 4, 5, and 6. You're gonna get, you know, 4 different prices. It sounds like 1 maybe for the design and 4 separate prices for these different zones that you're focused on.
Well, the design is going to be a line item. So, you know, if we're estimating 10% of the budget would be the design, you know, more or less. And then, and they're going to say, well, you want a large piece in zone 1. This is a structure that we think can go there. And then this is what that structure costs. You want to have an ADA path. Here's the materials for an ADA path, and here's how much we think that's going to cost. You know, you want to have a small fort, you know, to replace the one that's you know, that's there right now. Here's what that costs.
Yeah, I have a quick, I'm real ignorant of all this. I have a real quick question. Two of you have made a recommendation for them to consult with the RFP. Can you advise them about how they do that and where they get a good consultant to get this process moving?
We really kind of said when they should hire a consultant.
No, I mean, but do you have any recommendations?
No, they've been dealing with this, so I think they would be able to. I mean, we can.
Oscar, do you feel like you have access to a consultant to look at the RFP?
Not right now. I mean, the only people we've spoken to are people that would be bidders, and I'm assuming that you wouldn't want to consult with a potential bidder.
All right, so the question I have is,
Yeah.
how do they find a really good consultant to look at this?
Actually, we have a contact that Peggy gave us with Montgomery Parks, and he was the contact at Montgomery Parks was the person who introduced me to one of the people that was in the design only bid example was a contact from Montgomery Parks. So we could probably talk to Montgomery Parks guy and have him either refer us to a consultant or have him give us that input himself.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question along those lines. When you first broached the idea of site design, you mentioned, I don't know whether it was a woman or was some outfit that provided consultation. And you mentioned hiring her. Was it a her? I recall who it was.
I think
To advise on this exact thing. Here's our site. How can we go about turning it into our vision?
yes, okay.
Process?
That is before we knew about the grant. And that's actually the DC firm who would be a bidder now. So that was someone who we had spoken to early on in the process before we knew about the grant, where we were going to be working on the $30,000 of just town funds. And she said, well, I can give you some consultation services on that. But now that we have the grant and we're considering, the full project, that firm is a firm that would be bidding on it.
I don't see why there's a hesitation to use someone as a consultant, paid consultant. This isn't just somebody who's going to give you a good deal on the contract, but actually to advise exactly what the concern is, exactly how the site needs to be options. It's not going to tell us, but here's what you can do with this site, with your plan, the comprehensive plan, to make it a great facility. And part of that is, okay, you can have somebody, some outfit, maybe it's their outfit, but some outfit, do all of the site planning for future equipment as suggested in the comprehensive plan. And then either the same firm or another one can execute, or, and this is where another question I have, or the playground committee itself can execute an installation. All right, I mean, while it might be easier if you're doing sequential build out, installing, having a great piece of equipment put in by the vendor is exactly what you're going to do no matter what. The only question is who manages that purchase. Doesn't have to be a contractor, it could be a town resident, it could be anybody from the playground committee.
The only thing with
I'm not saying I'm just saying that's another option. How to
yeah.
But what you need, what the council believes you need.
But that's a point. Actually, I want to kind of focus on that point a little bit really fast. So John, that was something I want to come back to as well, because I think a stumbling block for me with the design bid is, okay, so if we get a design, that design, we'd want the site plan that has the specific location for equipment. Like that's what the design itself is. And so wouldn't a design that has the specific equipment, they've read our plan and they're saying, okay, well, this is the equipment that we recommend to go here. That takes away, wouldn't that take away the discretion that we have to then pick the equipment? They're kind of picking equipment and giving us the plan with all the measurements of where it goes.
So let me speak to that. So I don't think a design of the playground has to specify exact equipment. It can specify types of equipment. It can specify the size that goes there. So it could reference multiple options for a single area at different price points. So
but didn't we do that already?
What?
I feel like that's what the comprehensive plan was. We had like zone one, big piece.
Not at all. It's your vision.
Yeah.
And, let me just back up to what we talked about back in April, when you wanted to buy the train.
Yeah.
But our concern was, you're just gonna go put the train in and not
Mhm.
knowing where it fits in with the rest of the design.
Yeah.
And we said, let's get an RFP to get a designer in here and design the playground.
Mhm.
Show us where the things are go, where types of equipment could go. And what the landscaping is going to be, where the benches are gonna go, where your path's gonna go, all that stuff. And it gives you a framework and a guideline for implementation, and you can decide. I've got a whole plan now. You guys just want to prioritize certain sections, prioritize those sections for the first build out. You've got the plan, you can put them in at any time. I mean, you could get the plan and you could start construction the next week if you had some things that could go in there.
Yeah,
But
but
you
the
now
plan
know
is
where to
selecting
go.
equipment. But the plan is
What?
selecting equipment to go certain places because that was the need, right? We couldn't just buy the train because we need to know exactly where it goes. So if you get a design, that plan's going to have equipment built in because that's what we're asking for in the design is which equipment that goes in which place.
Oscar, as Nick was just asking. So we're saying hire a consultant, right?
Mhm.
And all these questions you're throwing out here, just work with the consultant, and that person will show you how to proceed the way you want to proceed. They'll tell you how to do exactly what you want. So and we don't have to have this conversation because we don't know.
Yeah.
The consultant is the expert. The whole secret is finding a good consultant that you're
Yeah.
comfortable with, and they can
Okay.
guide you. And
Yeah.
and you can make the decision.
Yeah.
We should make the decision.
So, okay, I hear you. I hear you. Here's my question though. We're going to look for a consultant. I'm going to get on that, and we might even talk to the DC people that help be a consultant on this.
Yeah.
If it ends up that it's a consultant that can get us to a design build, will that be acceptable?
I think at that point, you just come to the council and say, we've done this, here's the design bill, we have the consultant, they agree with it, and we say, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless we say no.
Well,
No, I mean, of course the details matter, but the details matter, but are we discounting a design build, or are we open to a design build if we can get to
The
that?
whole point is to get an RFP that can be bid. And if it's an RFP, if it's a design build RFP, and that's what the consultant says you should do,
Exactly.
then we send out an RFP for design build.
Right.
If they said design first, build later,
Yes.
then you go put an RFP for a designer
Yeah.
and get a design.
I agree
Exactly.
with you completely, that's what I'm saying, keep the process moving.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, talking about people to contact, I guess, and just thought just crossed my mind, and maybe Meredith, I see that she's on, but somewhere I heard that maybe Joey had some kind of experience or mastered or something in playground planning, but
Yeah.
But if that, there's gotta be somebody in town, that's what I'm getting at, that may have a connection with a consultant that we might be able to access,
There's like then it is. It says millions. There's not millions, but there are many consultants out there. And it's just, if you just went to Google and Googled it, check. Anyway, there's an association that you get it from. So if you need help, I'll help you find it, but I'm sure you'll do it on your own. There's one other thing though that people have mentioned, and that's maintenance. And they're more like naysayers who try to really find a problem with all this. And so there is like a concern. We don't have a town maintenance person, and so we're going to build this beautiful thing, and then RJ just does so much. So I would hope that you're going to also have some kind of plan for how we're going to do this.
Yeah, I mean, the example with the train was, we were going to go for the wooden train, but then have the base itself be the poly lumber to minimize the maintenance area in the places where it's most in contact with standing water. So we're considering that kind of thing.
We've also got an officer on the playground committee who is the maintenance and record officer, which is me. So I'm responsible for the monthly maintenance checks that Steve used to do, and making sure I communicate with the town maintenance coordinator when there are issues that need to be rectified, as you well
I
know.
just hit delete when I get that. Yeah. No.
I won't be the first email you get from me, by the way, I am sure.
Okay, well, I mean, it sounds like we have to do our homework and get a consultant and work with them, someone who knows the industry, and have them advise us on the development of an RFP. And if it makes more sense to do the design first, we'll do that. If we can do the design build, we'll do that. And we come back to
My
you.
question is, on the 250, is there a timeline on that?
2 years.
2 years? Starting when?
What did you say?
I think it's 2 years. That was Jonathan. Jonathan can speak to that because he's the finance guy.
I'm pretty sure it's 6 years. Our stormwater management, was 2022, and it goes to 28.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah, I don't.
long timeline.
Yeah, I have not seen a specific date, so I don't think it was 2 years. I think that they prioritized shovel-ready projects, but that's the most detail that I had seen.
I thought you told us 2 years. Maybe I'll look it up. Okay, that's fine. We can answer that. But
Well, our goal is to spend it sooner than
yeah,
later.
we have money. The playground desperately needs a refresh,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
we want to use it, as judiciously as possible.
Thank you. Unless there's any other questions.
Thank you guys.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Great job.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Good discussion.
Yeah, that's good.
All righty, we'll move on, then to the regular business remaining, which isn't much. The town council report. Those reports were available. There were a lot of things, went on, many of which we already talked about. The only two I pulled out were specific, mention, we was one of them we ended up putting on the agenda, and I should have substituted it, but it's to to do what we can to keep the hall in as good condition as possible, since it's basically been refurbished to a large extent. And that was, of course, Chris's report. And then Peter's report about the bamboo forest removal on Grove Avenue. Anybody who's familiar with Grove?
In here.
I know, it's like a ball, yeah, it's like a house again.
So that, bamboo has a way of encroaching on everything. It's like, it's worse than mint. We
It
should
is.
pull up mint.
Yeah.
Really can't do that.
Yeah, I'd say.
That was a great effort, and it was either reported by maintenance, but it was forestry beautification.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Convinced everyone that good thing to do.
Yeah, I went over there and I have pictures of it. I swear, they had big equipment in there. You would think that you were in the Amazon jungle. Seriously, it was unbelievable once they got into that.
How deep did they have to?
It was like maybe 20 feet. I don't know.
Yeah, this thing's for.
They were there for 3 full days.
And believe me, it will be back.
It'll be back, yeah.
Yeah, but they
They put cement in.
they poisoned it. They had to do
They
exhaust.
poisoned
They
the
said,
soil underneath.
yeah, they used
Nothing will grow there for decades.
You guys think it's called or something?
No.
Was it RJ that did it?
Yeah, RJ did it. Yeah, but it was huge. Yeah, F&B. This was planned for a long time.
Okay. All right, anybody else have anything that,
John, did I miss, did you do a vote on the budget transfer resolution?
Yep.
All right,
took approximately 30 seconds.
that's why I missed it. Usually these things take forever. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, if nobody has anything else, then we're gonna wrap things up. The next meeting is July 13th. Recall, we will start with the public hearing on the land sale ordinance. And go on from there. Looks like we can adjourn.
Great meeting.
I can wait 4 minutes and adjourn exactly on my estimate.
No, I think you get to bank those minutes.
I do.
Next meeting.
Future minutes.
I would bank them if I were you.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
Swear I agree with Mo with the consultant. There's that, easy to help with it.
I don't know, getting anywhere, but that was one complicated. All right.
Kill us.
No, it was very. I said it was